theft of the American dream. The American dream is confused with a large commercial push to sell homes and encourage people to go into debt to feed the machine. And that machine is the economy. And unfortunately, we run on debt. People are obsessed with living beyond their means. Social media influencers, Hollywood films, marketing programs, they all work to teach people how they should be living their lives, even if they can't afford it. But moneylenders are abundant, and taking on debt is no longer looked down upon. Today, being in debt is simply seen as a part of life. It's become all too acceptable, being made more comfortable by the thought that, hey, everybody else is in debt as well. We give up our lives, mortgage our futures, simply because everybody else is doing it. We're just a bunch of lemurs, following the pack blindly off the cliff. This is unacceptable. At least it should be. The truth about the American dream is that it's not about owning a home. Now, that may be your dream, and it may be the dream of a lot of people. But that is not the American dream. For the American dream, you decide what your own dream is. It's individual. It's your dream. Nobody is going to put that in your head, or they shouldn't. Despite what real estate professionals and marketing schemes will tell you. The dream is yours. And the very best definition of the American dream that I've used in my teachings is that the American dream is the belief that anyone can achieve anything that they are willing to work for. That's it. Thousands, millions of people have their own success stories because they have selected a goal and worked towards it. So that is the version that I advocate. You take it and you make it whatever is the best goal for you and you alone. Similarly on that subject is the propaganda confusing your greatest asset, where people will always tell you that your greatest asset is your house. To own a home, it's your greatest asset. Once again, in some cases, that could possibly be true. But in most cases, it's not. Its greatest asset confusion is sold by real estate sellers, builders, insurance professionals, tax folks. A house is most often a person's greatest liability, the most expensive purchase they'll ever make, the largest debt they'll ever carry, the heaviest expense that they are responsible for on a daily, monthly, annual basis. Now, real estate can be an asset, but real estate is only an asset if it is providing income, like a rental property, or a house you live in that you rent out rooms. Nothing wrong with that. That works. Then that's where the asset comes in, because it's putting something in your pocket, not only taking things out. But most often, the home is the largest expenditure and the greatest debt, the biggest responsibility for care, maintenance, and protection. It's the largest part of your monthly income, the largest debt going against your monthly income. It's very possible that it will be the biggest liability that you ever carry. Now, going back to what a person's greatest asset, here's the way I teach it. The true greatest asset is your ability to earn an income. Most people actually fail to insure their greatest asset. And one thing is because there's confusion about it. Your home may be an asset. More likely, it's a liability. But for most of us out here, your individual greatest asset is your ability to bring home a paycheck, your ability to make and earn an income in some way or multiple ways. I mean, folks get a lot of laughs out of the Affleck commercials with the ducks and the pigeons. But a lot of people miss the importance of what they're advertising. And sadly, that's only a small portion of people that will make that critically important investment to protect themselves, their families, and yes, their homes as well. You want to be protected against some tragic loss of your ability to earn an income. I will, and I do, highly recommend obtaining disability insurance. I am not an insurance agent, and I am not sponsored by an insurance company, so I'm not providing any links or recommendations. And I mentioned Aflac just because most people will be aware of the duck and the pigeon commercials. What I will tell you is that in my own personal experience, having long-term disability insurance can be a lifesaver. After a vehicle accident, I was left with injuries which prevented me from performing my job. I'm not going to share the entire long story, but to make it clear, without the foresight and fortunate decision I made of having and carrying disability insurance for many years, never hoping to use it, never knowing that I would need it. But I would have not been able to make such a successful transition into an early, unexpected, unplanned retirement had it not been for that insurance being in my portfolio. After that unexpected retirement, I continued to monitor investments, but I was not ever able to return to work. But what I can say on the positive side of that experience is that I was never in a position where I was unable to keep my home, fill my shopping cart, pay my bills, and pay for all my ridiculous first dates. But an important thing is that I did not have to borrow money from anywhere or run up credit cards. That disability insurance made a difference in my life. And so I advocate for that as well. For everyone, if you're in a position, get that insurance. All right, on to some more financial stuff. Our public education system here in the United States doesn't teach personal financial management. Therefore, most parents largely don't have a clue how to manage their own finances, and so they can't teach it to their children at home. Commercials, television shows, movies, and social media all normalize borrowing, and creative marketing professionals even find ways to make it exciting. Beyond the excitement of just buying a new car or getting a boat or taking a trip that you can't afford, that you have to go into debt for and then pay off later. Specifically, I recall a time when my young kids came to me excited about a television commercial that they'd seen repeatedly for Credit Karma, where my kids asked me, "Hey, did you go to Credit Karma? Did you go to Credit?" I said, "What? No, I haven't been to Credit Karma. Why?" They said, "You should do it. You should do it. It's fun. It's free." So these commercials, they use hyped up jingles and animated characters. And my kids wanted me to go to Credit Karma because it's free and fun. So I told them, I said, I haven't been. I've seen the commercials. I said, but it's absolutely not free. Which, of course, they said, well, it says it's free. It is free. It says it's free. Like, yeah, they say it's free. And it's free to go to their webpage. It's free to sign up and give them your address and your phone number so they can bombard you with marketing. But what you always have to look at when these things say that they're free is the fact that advertising is not free. And they are paying an enormous amount of money for every 20 or 30 second commercial they're running. Everything you're seeing on television, it's very expensive. And they would not, there's no one out there that's going to spend that kind of money to advertise something that's free. It just doesn't make sense. All right, we're getting back to the debt mess. The U.S. government, likewise, is in the dirty game of getting people hooked on borrowing by providing student loans. Where else in the world, where else in your life will you ever find the availability of such large sums of money offered to people with no income, no assets, no prospective employment, and no credit history to prove that they are a good risk? Student loans are given so freely simply for the purpose of ensnaring the young and unaware and getting them into the machine of lifelong debt. Kids mortgage their youth by promising away their future. They become batteries for the economic machinery. Yes, this is exactly like the real life matrix. Now, budgeting isn't sexy, but it is extraordinarily smart. Living in a manner consistent with your financial capability isn't going to live up to what you'll see in flashy reality TV shows or your favorite self-titled, influencers on social media. But these things do not reflect the real world or true life. It's make-believe most of the time. Living within your own specific financial means ultimately will deliver freedom because you rule your own life. And think about it, really. Whose opinion is it that truly matters more? Whose comfort and sanity will truly make a difference in your life? Heck, if you got the time and the inclination, you can always fake it on social media if that's really important to you. But I personally believe that it's a waste of time to try to impress strangers with lies and fantasies about a lifestyle that you just cannot afford. And you can't enjoy it because it's not real. But hey, if that's your hobby, then go for it. I would suggest instead to put that time and creative energy together to create something new, to do something different, to improve yourself. That is where you are really going to find the maximum payoff for your investment. Now, there are several key Bible verses that address debt, often drawing a parallel between borrowing and servitude. Proverbs 22:7 states that the rich rule over the poor and the borrower is slave to the lender, suggesting that debt can lead to a form of subservience. Yeah, well, that's not surprising. It's a yucky feeling to be in debt.
If there's one financial lesson my parents taught me, it was to never borrow money. Like, ever. The reason I learned this lesson is because my parents used scare tactics. Now, I don't know if these are the exact words they said, but the way I understood things as a child was that if I ever opened up a credit card, the cops were gonna literally come to my house and arrest me. Not true, but it got their point across. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but now looking back, I'm so grateful that I was able to avoid debt as an adult. I've witnessed what debt can do to people's finances, their time, the energy, and their future hopes and dreams. Debt is deceptive. It overpromises and underdelivers. It promises happiness and fulfillment, but what it really delivers is stress and a lack of options. Before we got married, my husband shared what his experience with debt was like and said it felt like all he was doing was working to pay everyone back that he owed. In Proverbs 22:7, the author writes, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender." I don't believe this language is an accident. In a lot of ways, anyone who borrows money has to do whatever their lender demands. The borrower loses choices and options of what to do with their own money. When it comes to money, I believe God wants me to experience and handle it through the lens of freedom. God wants me and you to be free to earn money, spend money, save and invest money, and give money in a way that honors Him. But this is really difficult to do when debt is involved, which is why we should try to avoid it altogether if possible.
Psalms 37:21 highlights the importance of repaying debts, noting that the wicked borrows but does not pay back. Wait a minute. I actually know some of those wicked people they're talking about. Some of them are even related to me. Moving on down the road to Romans 13:8, it's sometimes interpreted as advocating for minimizing financial obligations by stating, "Owe no one anything except to love each other." I would say that's pretty straightforward as far as minimizing financial obligations. Doesn't cost you anything to be nice. Doesn't cost you anything to love one another. Open the door for someone, picking up trash in your neighborhood, keeping things clean, being polite, watching out for crosswalks, just being nice. Owe no one anything except to love one another. That's a very cheap thing to do, and it'll make the world a better place. Over there in Deuteronomy 28:12, there's a suggestion that lending rather than borrowing is a sign of a blessing. And that's a good way to do it. Be the lender, not the borrower. Be the top instead of the bottom. Now, you guys know I'm still talking about the financial sphere, right? Okay. Well, historically, debt in ancient times could result in temporary forced labor for creditors. And Proverbs 22:7 reflects this potential for exploitation. Now, modern lending in some places, say the modern world, differs in some of the ways from the way things were done back in the ancient times. But this proverb should still be viewed as an important warning regarding the financial burdens and limitations debt can surely impose. So, to summarize this installment, only you can determine what your American dream actually is. It's open to individual interpretation, and your definition is the only one that matters in your life. Your greatest asset is you. Stay healthy, stay clean, stay sober, stay legit, and continue moving forward in a positive direction. Insurance that provides a safety net for your income also protects and preserves your lifestyle, your assets, your loved ones, and your legacy. And also your home, if you want to keep that in there. And when it comes to debt, be the lender and not the borrower. Yes, it's actually good to be the king. Now, it is your life. And how it goes is totally your choice. Stop being a mirror of others. Stop being a follower and begin walking your own path. Live your life your way and do it right, my friends. Thank you for listening. Cretin Media out.